Hello everyone, today I'm going to evaluate a research paper done by Donaldson and Vermo in 2011 to evaluate timeout procedures with and without release contingencies. The efficacy of timeout as a minimal force of punishment has highly proved in past research. However, when we put a child into timeout for his disruption, for example, he might engage in more misbehaviors during the timeout, such as crying and aggression. So some studies suggest that use release contingencies, which require the child remains in timeout for a specific amount of time until no problem behaviors has occurred. To evaluate the use of release contingencies, we need to figure out two things. First, whether the problem occurred during timeout will recur after timeout. Second, whether release contingencies will reduce the targeted problem behaviors in general. The aim of this study is to compare the timeout with release contingency with a fixed duration timeout. Hypothesis is the problem occurred during timeout are not likely to recur immediately after timeout. So reduce those behaviors has limited contribution to reduce the problem behaviors in general compared to fixed duration. The participants are 4 boys aged range from 3 to 4 years old. Compared to the sample of previous study of Mace and Louise Lee, this sample is more empirical because it contains different development levels of children. There are 2 diagnosed autism, 1 typical developing, and 1 labeled with development delay. The design method is correlational comparison for 2 procedures of each participant. Data collectors record frequencies of each type of problem behaviors. If a response occurred continuously, it will be recorded only once. Crying was recorded as duration percentage. There are 3 figures of data comparison. First, the rate of timeout producing problem behavior for each participant compared with baseline. Second figure is comparing the delay producing responses occurred in timeout. The third one is the compare the cumulative records of both problem behaviors for 1 fixed duration procedure with which problem has occurred during the final 30 seconds of timeout. Let's have a look at the results. First, both timeout procedures are effective in reducing targeted problems, but the problems will re-emerge when returned to baseline. The level of baseline before and after timeout has no significant difference, which indicates both procedures have neither eliminate nor reduce the problem outside timeout. Secondly, the level of delay producing responses during timeout for both phases are approximately the same. Thirdly, the probabilities of problems in final 30 seconds of fixed duration is 0 for 3 participants. Only 1 participant had a low level occurrence. Fourth, the average fixed duration time is 4 minutes, while the release contingency procedure is much longer. Let's have a look at the conclusion of the research. Upon findings of above, the author suggests that the release contingency could not reduce the problem behaviors in general in comparison with fixed duration timeout. The problem occurred during timeout may not likely to recur after timeout. Also, the average length of release contingency procedure is longer than fixed duration. Let's have a look at the limitations. The author has conceptualized the problem behavior as superstitious behavior. However, the author mentioned most of the responses had previously occurred, but only did not produce timeout. So the delay producing responses are correlational, but correlational with timeout, but not indicate the causation. This may weaken the necessity to reduce the delay producing behaviors. Secondly, for some response occurred continuously, it will only record it by one time. Continuous misbehaviors may much severe, but have been weakened in low frequency. In other words, the data measured by frequency only reveal the rate of occurrence, but have limited ability to show the severity of the behavior, which it will affect the effectiveness of the research. Third, using color card signal and verbal explanations before session between two procedures may not exactly let the children get a clear notion about what's happening this time. There is no warning of how much time will be extended and explanations regarding what type of behavior resulting extension, which may limit the effectiveness of release contingency and limit the ability to state that one method is better than the other. Also, the sample size is too small that release contingency has reduced problems in some participants. The small sample size means that the findings from the study have limited generalizability. And there is some reference I have used in this speech. Thank you.